But exciting to see all of you. Thank you very much. I know this is a busy time of the year, but we did need to get a meeting going, and I know there was a lot of things going on tonight. I think the football banquet was rescheduled for this evening at the high school due to weather. So I know there was a bunch of football players that are obviously at the banquet tonight, and but we really appreciate all of you being here this evening, and there were a number of other people that had emailed and said we had something going on. So Jeff Melland is here tonight. He's our band booster, one of our board members, and he's going to give him a hand. Yep, he came in tonight. So if you want to pass on the word to maybe any of your friends or anybody that could not make it tonight, Jeff is going to put this on our band booster website, and you can sure watch this meeting tonight, and anybody that wasn't here can get all the information that was presented tonight, okay? So you can press on the word like that, and also send out an email reminding people to do that. So that'll help out a lot. Thanks, Jeff. Yep. So with great pleasure and excitement that we have this meeting tonight, and I remember being here a few years ago talking about a trip we were going to be taking and getting organized, and it's never early enough to start planning. And it seemed like we just got off the bus from Seattle, and we took a trip last summer, and we started planning, looking ahead a little bit to see what we're going to be doing in the future. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. A couple topics tonight. I know we have a lot of new faces in here tonight, so we're going to talk about the program just a little bit. And the seasoned vets that have done this before, I apologize, but we need to do a little bit of info sharing with the program itself. So Mr. DeGear is going to be back in the scenes back here doing our PowerPoint, helping us out with that, so thank you very much. A couple items we're going to talk about tonight. First of all, a brief history of the marching band, a little bit of a bio of the marching band program here. The Alexandria marching band has been in our school system for a very, very long time. And if you get out the old yearbooks from the 50s, you probably saw the marching band on the football field at old Central High School, where the courthouse is right now. And back then, the band did Friday night football games, and they also did probably a homecoming parade and maybe a Memorial Day parade back then. And so that continued all the way up until the early 80s when former director John Anderson came, and he decided that we're going to be the street marching capital of the world in the United States, Minnesota. And so there was a move back then to have bands perform just on the street primarily. And so John made that decision to do that, to be primarily a street marching band. It was a great move. A lot of pride in our community with our marching band over the years. Since then, the early 1980s, when that shift was made, and we've had obviously some great things happening here in Alexandria. We have Ken Martinson, who actually lives in Nashville right now. Ken founded the Viking Land Band Festival, and he was actually, when he was in high school, he formed that, and with the Chamber's help, he ran that and started that off in the early mid-80s, and it's really been the state marching championship of the state for every summer since then, so that's pretty awesome, and we host that here. And you want to say Minnesota is the parade capital of the United States? It is, because when you go to a parade in any other state in the United States, you'll never see probably marching bands. So when you go to Minnesota parades in the summer, everybody has a town celebration, and there's always a marching band or two in it, and that's what makes this state really unique for a lot of reasons, okay? Our typical season of our marching band, I put 2014 in parentheses, is we start when school gets out. I think the last day of school this year is June 3rd or 4th, and Mr. DeGear, can you get rid of that somehow? You're covering up my crib notes here, sorry. Hey, there you go, thanks. Our typical season, like this summer, we would start our camp on June 9th, and we'd run rehearsals that first week at night and learn our show, and then we would practice Tuesday and Thursday nights, and typically do 8 to 9 parades, and end on the 4th of July. And the 4th of July, we end up in the cities. We'll do a couple parades there, and we'll end at Valley Fair. So it's a nice way to end the year on a non-trip year. Of course, 2015, that'll look a little bit differently. So that's our typical season. I think a lot of people I talk to, they say, well, is your band marching into August and September? It's like, no, we're done on July 4th. And, back in the 80s, the band did march, went to Aquatennial and things. And so back then, it was really hard to keep the season going that for a long extended time. We all knew people wanted summer, and so July 4th is always a good point to, obviously stop the season. So, and everything is getting to a point where everybody's feeling good about the season, and it's been enough time to put that together and have a great season. So it goes kind of fast though, okay? Let's see, Alexandria, let me see. Gotta find my notes here, okay? 30th anniversary this year of the Viking Land Band Festival, so it's kind of a big celebration this year. Plans to have an alumni band again. I promised the alumni every 5 years we would have that. So they're really excited to come back and do that again, knock the rust off, okay? Next slide, Mr. DeGear. We have our resume of our band, where we've been to in the past. It's pretty great to look at this because I know probably seeing a few of you in here, maybe even some of you were on these trips as youngins. And so, we used to do the December trips, and back in 2006 we decided with a lot of input, a lot of thought, to do an all-volunteer group, and it was a great move. And so it kind of changed when we traveled, and so starting in 2006 we started planning summer trips. And so the challenge back when we did these parades in the December time frame was lack of rehearsal space, and we tried to use gymnasiums. It was really tough. Scheduling didn't work, and with the limited building facilities, etc., it was a healthier change for us to go to a volunteer group and do travels in the summer. So we're in the majority of bands in the summer that have volunteer groups and do summer trips. So you may see a few bands that march in the fall on the field, and they do it really well. Some of them may be going to a December or November trip that way, but we're in season in the summer, and that's why we like to travel then. So it just makes kind of sense. Next slide, Mr. DeGear. There we are. Matt Bittman, I was going to have you come up and help me here, but we'll kind of show you where Norway is, kind of the next topic here, okay? Norway, if you see where Russia is, just to the left of Russia or west, you'll be able to see Norway. I was going to bring my laser pointer, but I couldn't find it. So it's about straight up from my paper, about 2 feet above that. And so, I don't know if you're Sarah Palin, you might be able to see Russia from your backyard, from Oslo, maybe. That's a bad joke, I guess. Maybe I shouldn't say that. But anyway, that's what it looks like, is the big picture all across the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, Mr. DeGear, next slide. Stabæk is actually a suburb of Oslo, okay, if you can find Oslo there. And Norway is actually, when you look at Norway, it's kind of long and skinny, kind of like Lake Victoria here in Alexandria. And Oslo is kind of in this big peninsula there. And Stabæk is actually just a little bit west and south of Oslo, about 10 miles. So it's considered a suburb, and that's where we're obviously going to be traveling to. Okay, and so you can kind of see those surrounding areas around that too. A lot of water. Okay. All right. Next slide, Mr. DeGear. I did a 411 or a wiki on Stabæk. I don't know if you can read this or not, but as I kind of looked at this and started reading it, I feel, not that I would feel unsafe going anywhere, but as you read this is a little bit more of an upscale, higher class suburb. They have a lot of unique things there. They actually have an American school there where American students go, and so when we get there, we'll probably be talking to some American folk. And when the Stabæk band was here last year, they actually said they had English-speaking students in their band, which did not travel with them. They didn't want to come back to America and pay that money to come see a place where they had been before. So their group was not as large, probably, as we'll be able to see them there in Norway. Okay. And they also have a bandy field and a high school, and they also have a club. And a lot of the things that we have in our school, such as maybe music, sports, the European model is of clubs. And so their band is not actually associated with their school at all. It's more of a community band, and their students from their schools participate in that. So it's a little bit of a different concept. of what we do in America as opposed to the European model. And you'll see that in Germany too. They'll have clubs. It'll be soccer club and etc. So music clubs. And so I suggest you do a little bit of research on that and stuff, and it's kind of neat to find out about those areas. And it sounds like there's an upper and lower Staubach, and there's surrounded or separated by a mountain. And I also found out that Starbuck was named after Staubach. Starbuck, Minnesota. That's pretty cool. So there's a lot of sister cities that will change the spelling a little bit, and because they're inspired to name their town after something like that. So, all right, next slide, Mr. DeGear. This is actually a picture of the Staubach group from last summer at the Viking Land Band Festival, and their group had young and old in it, and it was really neat to see them all perform, and they were so excited to be here, and they were so fun to hang around with, and our students got to know them, and a lot of them are still in contact with them with Facebook and everything, so that's been pretty fun. They have a little bit different uniforms than us. They have a little bit more decoration. You can see the medals on them and such, and I think those are probably years of service or years of volunteering to that group. And so they're a highly decorated group. And I think I read a fact that they're one of the 5 top performing bands in Norway, and show bands, they call them, street bands. So it's pretty neat to have that designation, all right? So this is what they look like, and that's right in front of, you can kind of see Bella's on Broadway there, okay? Next slide. The dates of the celebration, by the way, they're going to be having their centennial celebration of Staubach Band, okay? And that's what we're going there for. We were invited officially from Hildy, who is the representative from Staubach last summer. She says, you have to come to Norway. Your band would be rock stars here. And I took that as a compliment. And so that was just, I got me thinking a little bit. Could we do this, you know? You have one, guy on your shoulder saying, yeah, and the other one saying, no, you know. So you're trying to, play with all that and trying to think about this. And, after talking to some of my band director friends and the band boosters and some students in casual conversation, there was more excitement than maybe a not thing. So that was really a thing that kind of, took me over that hump and said, let's do this, okay? This is Jesse Groton down here on the left. No, that looks like you, Jesse. All right. I found these guys on Google Images. I thought they were pretty cool looking. So the dates of the trip here. Departure right now is to be determined according to what we're looking at for flights. Okay. But we do know the time frame of the celebration. Okay. And our group would potentially be performing possibly 3 times. And usually we like to perform a couple times on our trips. But they've said there's some special performances that we would be invited to, just our group. So that's pretty exciting. Okay. I'm not familiar with the money system in Norway. It's the krone. Okay. I don't know if you know that or not. I've learned a lot from doing this. And the krone the kroner is their money system. And 6 of the krone is about 1 of our dollar. So that means our dollar doesn't really go too far over there, right? So the conversion rate's just a little bit difficult to figure out sometimes. So you have to figure, 1/6 of what it would cost and all that. So we've been kind of putting some figures together and trying to get some dollar or some numbers put together to make this a reality. So it's been fun. I've learned a lot about math again. So. But Hildy is, again, our contact in Staubach. She's been just super. She's so fun to work with. She's so quick to get back to me with emails and questions, and she's presenting some things that I hadn't thought of. And what's fun about this is usually with a trip like this, you would have to pay a travel agency some money to help you, okay? The first sentence that I got from Hildy was, you do not need a travel agent. I will do everything for you. I was like, yes, okay? She has taken the last 3 Norwegian groups from Oslo that were performing here in Alexandria. She was their tour representative and lined everything up. So she's very knowledgeable, and she's going to do very well for us. And I can't wait to get this put together. So Hildy is kind of doing this all on her own, and you know, she's not getting paid for this, so that's pretty great. In my last email conversation with her, she said she was visiting the embassy to talk to them about us coming, so that's pretty cool. So that she's doing a lot of things over there for us. Patricia Mack is another person that we'll be working with. She's from Leisure Time Tour. She is going to be just in charge of getting her plane tickets, okay? And so we've given her one task to do that, and any of those side jobs that I can get off of my plate, I'll gladly have somebody else do it. So she's going to work hard for us. And Leisure Time is actually the tour company we took on the last Seattle trip, and we also took to Colorado in 2009. So they've worked with us before, and they're very knowledgeable, and they've done a lot of music trips for a lot of bands in the state. Okay. Before you show the next slide, Mr. DeGuerre, I don't want to hear any gasps. Okay, so wait a second. I have to talk about some costs, some real costs, okay, before you see the numbers, because I don't want you to get scared, okay? The flights, if you fly to Norway right now, you go buy a plane ticket right now, you'll spend about between $750 and $800 a ticket, which is, I think, you know, a pretty good deal. When you fly in the summer, it's double. And unfortunately, they know that the weather's nicer then, they can get more for a ticket. And unfortunately, that's when we're going to be flying. And so we're guesstimating right now, airfare right now. Of course, it's too far out to have that firmed up. But a lot of the figures are going to be popping up here in a few minutes are kind of our working numbers, okay? Housing in Norway and Oslo. Hildy has been working on a couple options for us. There is a boarding school there, which is kind of set up like in a dorm type situation. She said would be one option. She said a more cost-efficient option would be to have homestays, and there are pluses and minuses to both of those. But she is still working on those logistics and everything, so she's going to get back to me about that a little bit, how we're going to take care of housing, okay? The busing is the one that's going to be probably one of the most expensive over there, because you're kind of at the will of the bus companies, okay? And so she's working with bus companies over there to get some competitive rates for us. And so, again, that conversion, that 6 to 1, looking at that, the buses will be quite a bit more than getting a bus here in our state. So we're working through that too, okay? Meals, another thing. Meals are a little more expensive over there. And Hildy said, kind of a few unique things you need to know. She said there's no such thing as hot lunch in Norway. It's cold lunch, okay? And she said you get warm food for dinner, of course, and breakfast. But so the food is a little bit different. The cost is way different. And we've been looking at some ways to make that work too. And right now the plan is to have some more catered type meals. With that, we will not be able to go to McDonald's with a group, you know, like that, like we do in the United States, which will be way too expensive. So we're working on the meals too, okay? Side trips, this is kind of the last piece of the puzzle. We haven't even thought of that yet, but Hildy has already talked to me or through email about, there's a really nice beach there. It's one of the top beaches in all of Norway that we could go to really economically. And to be honest, Norway is not like going to Orlando, you know? We're not going to be going to Walt Disney World in Oslo. You know, this is a little bit more of a historic trip. It's a little bit more of an educational trip. It's going to be a great cultural exchange trip. So that's probably one of the big differences as opposed to one of our other trips we've taken. We're not going to drop you off at a theme park and see you later. You know, this is going to be total immersion. So it's going to be pretty fun. Mr. DeGeer, next slide, please. Okay. All right. So, pencil on paper, we did some cost analysis here a little bit to make this feasible. Before you get frightened, we got to talk a few other things here. So I know a lot of foreign language trips go through the same things where you have that dollar figure and it's through a travel agency and that's a set price. Right now, I'm saying that the $2,800 figure is the highest this will go, and I'm hoping it goes down, and I'll kind of talk to you about that, how we're going to do that, okay? So when you figure up all the individual things, like I said, the flight, we're estimating that to be around $1,500 right now. About a month ago I went on and checked. Ticket was about $14.50, okay? So we're saying 15 should be a good estimate for that. Hotel housing, like we talked about, the busing, that will be in Norway. And this is per person, again, it's pretty spendy. And the meals, okay? And side trips, again, to be determined. So this is how we come up with this estimated cost of per person, okay? And if you've had any kids that have gone to foreign language trips or gone on foreign language trips, you probably see that figure and go, well, that's a little bit less than maybe some of the foreign language trips. And we wanted to try and be a little bit lower than that, but kind of realistic too. You know, we didn't want to say it's going to be $1,000 and then later on we say it's going to be, you know, $5,000. That wouldn't be fair to anybody, okay? And so when we start putting these numbers together on these trips, that number we pop up there, we want to work with that, okay? We don't want to come back later, you know, a year from now and say, oh, it's going to be twice that much. That's kind of being unfair to everybody. So we want to work with real numbers, and I'm very, very, very hopeful that cost is not going to go any higher, okay? And from the last, I don't know, 17 years I've been here, we have not raised the trip cost after we've stated what it is. So we've tried to stand by that and stick by it, okay? Some talks with community members have started happening, and Marv Martinson has been one person I've talked to more extensively than anybody else, but Marv is totally behind us. He said there's going to be tons of community support for this, and so once we announce officially that we'll be doing this, there's going to be a lot of things organized within the community to help the students defray costs, okay? So getting back to that $2,800 figure, we hope to diminish that by doing some things in the community, okay? Students are still going to have to fundraise, they're still going to have to earn their way, okay? And that's a part of the experience of doing this, that hard work and that pays off to have something that you shoot for. That's a real reward, okay? So Marv Martinson's been great. Sons of Norway, we've already started conversations with them in the community. They're going to be a great ally for us, and a lot of their presidents and people that are involved with the Sons of Norway are in Arizona right now, go figure. So once they get back, they're going to start working with us and start getting some plans made too. Ken Martinson, Ken is down in Nashville, but he's the second person I emailed. Ken, is this a good idea? Like 4 minutes later, he says, are you kidding me? This is going to be wonderful. He was just like so excited. So Ken is going to be doing some things for us too with alumni, and that's another resource we have. We have thousands of alumni that I'm sure are going to help with this. So this is kind of exciting too. We have a great community of people that will help us too. And we've had a lot of help already. People that went out and did Pete's County Market bagging over Thanksgiving. We had the best tip jar ever from that, so that's great. So we're going to keep working on those things and keep working hard with that, okay? And also we have the world's greatest band booster organization. They're going to help out too, and we've got some special projects which I'll show you here too. They're going to help with to get help to students, okay? Students, all I can say is start fundraising now, okay? Because this is going to be one thing. We've never really started organizing this early on, okay? Seattle trip, we announced, I think, 8 to 9 months before we went. You know, this is just a little bit under 2 years. So we want to get this going, we want to get this planned and getting going. Somebody asked me before the meeting, when's the school board meeting? It's next Monday night. So we'll know officially after next Monday night, the school board meeting, but I can say for a fact that I think every trip that we've submitted, we've never been refused, we've never been denied. And I don't foresee any problems with this one either. So, not that I've never been wrong in my life, but I hope I'm not. But next Monday night we'll know for sure. And we'll communicate that to you directly as quickly as we can, okay? When I get done with all this, by the way, I'll have some question and answer things. So hang on to your questions if you have any. Mr. Gear, next slide. Student trip accounts. Our band booster organization has individual fundraising accounts for all the students, and these are great things. They're like savings accounts for the students, and so anything that's fundraised goes right into those trip accounts. let's say a student gets $500 from Grandma and Grandpa for Christmas, and you want to donate that to or deposit that into your trip account, you can do that anytime. And that's a great way to have funds, of course, too. And if you have any special projects you do that you get paid for and you want to have that money set aside and put in there, that's always going to be there for you, okay? Our band booster secretary treasurer actually has always managed that. And Tanya Moe is not here tonight, but Tanya is actually off the board in December, so we have a new treasurer coming. So this is going to be a good time for us to start with a new treasurer, break them in the right way. So we'll get accounts set up and get going with that, okay? Cash donations, again, and anything, we'll go on to those trip accounts. You can put those in anytime. Fundraising opportunities that our band boosters regulate or manage for the kids. Again, we just did frozen food sales in the fall. We'll do that in the spring. Again, Herberger's Community Day, we did those in the fall. And Peets County Market Bagging, we'll have another round of that at Christmas time, Easter, and Memorial Day weekend. Kim Nelson is here to talk just a couple minutes about, do you want to speak about MVP cards? Kim and Dave have done this for many years, they're experts.
Some of you already know me, and I pester you, of course, because this is one of the good fundraisers. This is just an example of the card a couple years ago, and if I probably have you raise your hand, you'll have a lot of you here in the class, or in this auditorium. It sells for $20, and the students get $10 of that. Since we've been doing this, we hit our highest, I think it was about 600 and some cards last year that we sold. The guy keeps telling me that we could probably sell 1,000, and this is what we need to do this year. So they start going on sale in February. I've got some handouts, and I also have a list that I'd like to get names, students, parents, emails, phone numbers. I usually wrap emails in with Todd's, but I'd like to have a phone number as well, because when we start this, it gets pretty busy. The cards, usually I package them up, and you get 5 cards per student to start out with, but the program that I've kind of worked with now is I had a very smart student asked to start pre-selling. Actually, he started on his own. He sold about 20 cards and didn't tell me until he sold them, and then when the cards came in, he says, I need 20, and they were already sold. So I do have a handout that has like customer name, phone number, address, and cards received, so you can mark it when they get it. And also if they paid you ahead of time. I do have some information that will come out in an email later, but you can kind of get some of these forms going now, so you can kind of get some information. And I will give you my phone number. I don't know if you want to write it down now, but it's very productive. The other thing is I do have a little handout that has a sample, so when you do pre-sell the card, you can show this. Again, if you have your own card in your family, you can show that and say, this is how many times we've used it. It's a very good fundraiser, and we've been selling it since at least 2003 with my kids. My daughter graduated from Jefferson in 2007, and we did it before the band started selling it, and my kids have gone to Florida and New Mexico when they did church events and things. So and we were selling 100, just our family alone. So that brought in $1,000. So that it's possible.
Thanks, Kim. All right, thanks, Kim. On to the next slide here. Oh, under other, we'll always be creative with things to maybe provide a few more things for students. Some things that the band boosters are going to be doing to help students, okay? This is going to be things that I've challenged the band boosters to come up with, and I've helped them too. But 2009, we had a donkey basketball game. Did anybody go to that? You guys remember that? Yeah. Mr. Vinci remembers that. Yeah. We're going to be hosting that again, and that's going to be Saturday, March 1st, 7:30 p.m. in the gym at Jefferson, and we're going to retire Jefferson in style. So anyway, that's going to be a great night. If you've never been to one of these, you're going to laugh so hard your side will hurt for a week. But we're hoping to make a ton of money at that, and so it's people play basketball on donkeys, just like it says. It's hilarious. So the donkeys have little rubber boots and they're so cute. So anyway, it's going to be a fun night for that. We had our first annual homecoming golf tournament last year, and we got going on it a little bit late last year. We did fine with the first one, but we're making the next one huge. So that's going to be homecoming weekend next fall, and so be looking for that too. And we want to have just a great day that day. So if you know any golfers, and still we're going to keep that an annual event each year, that we can keep it on homecoming, and hopefully we can get a lot of alumni back for that. Okay. Also, we have aluminum can recycling, and those have been doing very well over the last few years. We have 4 cages around town. I wish I could remember where they're all at, but the one I always go to is at Mike's Car Wash. And it's always good to ask neighbors and whoever else around you if they have aluminum cans, go get them and drop them off, because that always helps. Okay. Those were started, by the way, the aluminum cans to buy our silver brasses back in 1994, I believe. So it's been going since then. It's been great ever since then. So it's gone back to the Band Boosters General Fund, and we're also going to have some community-sponsored events. So we'll be looking for those too. So we're going to rack our brains a little bit, do some brainstorming, make some ways to help the students. Okay. Next slide, Mr. Gear. Financial timeline here. Obviously, we wanted to get going on this. We didn't want to stand still and 4 or 5 months from now start talking about it. We need to get the wheels rolling. So this is the way we'll move along with this. We'll have a trip commitment form, which I'll email out to everybody, and I'll also have hard copies at Discovery and Jefferson, and we're going to have those due Friday, January 3rd. Okay, so we're going to see what interest we have in this thing. Okay, so I know it's going to move kind of fast, but that's going to give everybody time over the holidays to think about this a little bit, talk to families. Okay. Since we'll be locked up in the car for 7 hours driving to grandma's, it'll be a good time to talk about it, okay? The commitment form will be coming out. At the time of sign up, we're asking for a $200 non-refundable deposit, and if students, you have $200 in your trip account already, you can use that money for your deposit, okay? Or let's say you have 150, you can kick another 50 in and use that as deposit. And we want to make sure we're getting going with this, and we're getting that commitment level high, obviously, okay? Schedule of payments, once we have all that in, we'll start talking about the schedule. Obviously, there'll be passports we need to get, things like that. This is not like we're traveling to, Osseo to do a parade. We're going to, Europe, so we need passports. So there's a lot of things we need to plan for, and a lot of things we need to look at for. How many students, I've had this question asked, how many students do we need to sign up to make this a reality? Okay, and what I've answered to that is this: we're a performing group. Obviously, we want to have our best showing. Anytime we're performing as a group, because it is our band. And so what I've said to those people is, if it's dependent upon instrumentation, if we have a well-balanced group and we can make it go, we'll make it go. Okay. If we have 25 students sign up, that's not going to work. Okay. And so we'll have to explore some other options. But I'm really hopeful and excited about this venture, that we can make it work and make it a reality for everybody. Okay. Hard work and dedication. I've seen over the years with all the students that have been in the marching band, their hard work and determination coming together as a group to make that experience wonderful for everybody. And it takes everybody pitching in, everybody working hard. And over the years, I've seen students that have had limited resources. I had a tuba player, I shall not name his name, but he raised his trip in one frozen food sale. And then after that, he kept fundraising for the group. He said, I have some friends I want to give some money to that need help. I thought, he's a total team player. So, it takes everybody to pitch in, and it takes everybody to, make this a reality and such, okay? And so I've also had some questions about, can I chaperone? We haven't thought that far. So obviously we'll have some tentative plans set aside for people that would like to come along, and either, obviously we need chaperones for this. We're not going to go to Europe without chaperones. But we need chaperones set up, and we also We'll have some tentative plans for people that would like to come along that don't want to chaperone, that would like to, be there with the band and obviously make it a great experience for everybody. So I'm done with the information that I want to present this evening. Does anybody have any questions? Yes? Print out of the, great question.
I know the answer, kind of. Tanya was working on that yesterday and today, so it should be pretty soon.
Yeah. Tanya, like I said, Tanya Moe is going off at the end of December.
Stuff for me
Okay.
over the weekend, and so it should be updated.
Okay, all the Pete's bagging figures are in, so it should be before January 1st. Okay?
It'll
Awesome.
all be this week.
This week, okay, great. Knowing Tanya, she's working on it like at 1 a.m., this morning. She'll get it done, so. Any other questions? Yes?
Okay, if you have a student that will be in band the following year, 2015, how does that work for the trip commitment?
Yeah, good question. If you have a son or daughter in 7th grade right now, my suggestion is this, get involved with the honor guard this summer. There's an opportunity to do that. The honor guard is the group in front of the band that carries the banner, the American flag. We'll have a new banner for the front of the band this year. Yes, go ahead and applaud for that. We'll have guard the American flag because according to the law of the flag or the rules, you have to guard the flag on the right side. And so, all those students will get some great marching skills, and then you can start fundraising and get involved with that. Get some great, knowledge of what marching is about. And I highly suggest if any 7th grade parents are here to get your kids involved this year, because going on the big stage like this, obviously this is going to be a huge international thing. And we want to be performing well at the time when we have those uniforms on and we're marching. So, this 2015 trip, we're going to be doing it in June. Usually it's at the end of our season and we're more polished. We're going to be about a week and a half into the schedule. We're going to be performing on a huge stage. So that's one little worry that I have, but I know we're going to do well and rise to the occasion. Okay?
As soon as the snow melts, you can march.
Yeah, there you go. Once the snow melts, you can march. Any other questions? Yes?
I know you said the approximate, or the dates of the festival, but do you have an approximate amount of days that you have in mind that the trip will be?
Yeah, the only thing that Hildy has kind of gotten me information, she says there's a big time lag. She realized their students coming here was fine, getting to America and performing. They were like probably adrenaline too, but when they got home, they were totally crashed. And so there's a little bit of a time difference going that way. And so she suggested we have a day, maybe half a day of R&R time where the kids could, relax and get rid of the jet lag a little bit. And so our hope is to be there at least by Tuesday, perform Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, come home. That's kind of what we're kind of thinking right now. Okay. And a lot of that's due to, the flights and stuff like that. So how we're going to get a flight prices. Any other hands? Yes?
2 questions. One, we are getting a band flag, right?
Yes?
Jesse, we have a band flag.
And then my next question, are we getting a Norwegian flag? Just because.
We will.
Sweet.
We will. Bigger than the stickers. Okay? Right. Yes, Bruce?
Is there any opportunities for frequent flyer miles? We don't know, I suppose we don't know the airline yet, but I know in other groups, people donate frequent flyer miles.
Yeah, we can find out about that. I believe the airline's going to be Iceland Air that Hildy said we should use. So we'll have to find out about that. Okay?
What happened is with the passports, when you get slowed down on like the passport check?
Well, you need passports wherever you go in the United States, and so they have to check you at customs when you get to that place. So once we get to Oslo International, they'll be checking our passports. So we hope that we have them then too. Okay.
Are you're hoping for a direct flight?
I'm hoping, yeah. Hoping, yeah. But a lot of what happens sometimes you get to New York and then New York to Oslo. Yeah.
Actually, Iceland here stops in Reykjavik. I checked on orbits.
Did you?
Yeah, you go from Minneapolis to Reykjavik.
What's Reykjavik?
That's the capital of Iceland.
Oh, all right. Cool.
Better than New York.
Cool. All
And
right.
then Reykjavik to Oslo.
Okay. Thanks, Matt, you can show me where that is tomorrow. Okay, all right. Any other questions? I'm learning a lot tonight, thank you. Yes?
So I assume you planning on busing everybody down to Minneapolis, or would you get there individually?
No, we'll bus, yeah, we'll bus. We'll have our equipment, so we need buses to get there. Yes?
Two things. Do you know where we'll be going after the road trip for the next marching band?
I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow, Bruce. No, it's as far as I planned, but what's your second question?
It's not really a question, it's just saying that if you don't know much about Breckenridge, just go there.
Okay, I'll have to. Hopefully we go there. Okay. All right. Any other questions? I know that once you get home, you go, should I ask that? You know, I'm on email. Obviously, you can find me. Make sure you email me back any questions you have. And please watch Jeff's movie on the Band Boosters website. Okay? Matt, did you have a question?
You had mentioned something earlier today about announcing music selection for the summer.
Yeah, I wish I could announce, but we're still waiting on the copyright thing, and I don't want to be wrong. So I'm hoping before Christmas break we'll let everybody know that. But it'll be fun, I guarantee it. But I know for sure what we're going to do for 2015. You guys ready for this?
Yes.
Yes? We're going to do a Norwegian show. Hull the Mountain King, Grieg, it's going to be great. So they're going to love it over there. So, all right. I know that one for sure. So, any other questions?
Has everybody passed around and like do it 2 years in a row so that you have time to be ready for June? Because it isn't really getting ready for the Norwegian trip if you did the staying music this summer?
We all get sick of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Before I was here, the band used to do the same show. They would change it just a little bit, but they do 2 years in a row, and the students said it was a drag. They didn't like it, so yeah. They want to do something new, and I think us old people kind of get sick of humming the same melodies too, you know. So time to move on to something else. Yeah, that's a good point. Yes.
The non-refundable deposit will not apply if there aren't enough people to sign up for the trip itself?
Yeah, good question. You know, we'll talk about that as we get to that. You know, if we do have a contingency plan if Norway doesn't work out, and so that could go to the other trip. But if the kids decide they don't want to go on the trip, they can get that back. If it is, you know, if we pull the plug on it due to lack of interest, yeah, good question. So, yeah.
When's the sign up due?
Sign up January 3rd. Okay, so we'll hand those out to you at Discovery. I'll email those out to you. Okay. Any other questions? Oh, sorry.
If, like when you were talking about like corporate sponsorship or community sponsorship, would there be an opportunity for, you may have done it before, like when you sponsor a student or sponsor a band member?
Yeah, I know some other marching bands have done that and they've worked really well, yeah. And that's one of the things we're thinking about doing. Yeah. Send them a picture of the band member that they sponsored, you know, in uniform. So it's kind of a nice little touch.
Will we be skiing on the trip?
Summer trip.
Summer.
Here it's cold though.
Yeah. It's colder here now. Any other questions? Okay, I see that as a no. So really appreciate you all coming tonight, and drive safe, and I really appreciate you all being here and braving the cold Minnesota weather to be here on this beautiful night. Have a great night. Thanks. Yep.